In this session, we shall continue with the explanation of the short story A Service of Love by O. Henry. Okay, so the story continues like this in the fourth paragraph, I suppose. Okay, let me look into it. Okay. So seventh or eighth paragraph, maybe seventh one. So if you just look at it, it begins with Joe was painting in the class of the great magister. It is great magister is a person from whom Joe is learning painting. He is taking his painting classes from the great master, right? He is taking his painting classes from the great magister. You know his fame. He is addressing to the readers that we all know his fame. His fees are high, his lessons are light, his high lights have brought him renown. Okay, so here is the master who charges very high fee, but at the same time teaches very less in the classes. Okay, so the author is trying to be satirical here that these aspects have actually earned him the fame and the name and reputation. Okay, then how about Delia? Delia was studying under Rosenstock. Here is the name of the teacher of Delia, Rosenstock. You know his repute as a disturber of the piano keys. Okay, so the author has a bit of tongue-in-cheek attitude when it comes to his own society, the American society of his time, where people would flinch money and give less services in turn, right? And young people like Joe and Delia, who have just started their new life, happen to struggle, and somewhere, maybe obliquely, the trends in the that day American society, it was responsible for the predicament of the youngsters like Joe and Delia. Okay, who are very mighty aspirants to learn music and painting and also other forms of art, but such kind of artists did suffer a great deal at the hands of the masters like they have. Okay, so you got to remember the name, the great magister, Joe's teacher, and Rosenstock was Delia's teacher. So many times you get questions on this as well, that who were the teachers of this couple. Okay, then next, they were mighty happy as long as their money lasted. Okay, so is every, and the author just puts 2-3 dashes, the hyphens at the end of this sentence. He does not complete the sentence, but it's left open ended to the imagination of his readers. Maybe he meant to say they were mighty happy as long as there was money between them, that is Joe and Delia, and so is every marriage, maybe. Once there is this famous quotation, right? When money starts to fly, go out of the window, then love vanishes out of the door. Okay, but let us see whether is this also the case with Joe and Delia towards the end of the story, or do we have a kind of climaxing end, like how we learned in the introduction on the author, his writing style, whether the story has a twisting end, a surprising climax, or does it end like any other love story, okay, a traditional love story. Okay, and he says, I will not be cynical. Who is a cynic? A person who tries to always look at the negative aspects of life, right? Who tries to always judge life, evaluate life in terms of negativities, in terms of its negative sides. Okay, so he says, I will not be cynical. So he is giving a hint in a way to the readers that he is being very positive about the story of Joe and Delia, their love story indeed. Okay, their aims were very clear and defined. Joe was to become capable very soon of turning out pictures that old gentlemen with thin side whiskers and thick pocketbooks would sandbag one another in his studio for the privilege of buying. Okay, so this is the ideal aspiration, right? Indeed, a very bright aspiration that Joe has, that soon he'll become a very famous painter and a rich gentleman with thick pockets. Okay, meaning to say, rich people would come to his studio, would indeed line up in his studio, would make a queue in his studio to buy his uh, miraculous and very pleasant paintings. Okay, so this is the high aim that Joe has set for himself. And how about Delia? Delia was to become familiar and then contemptuous with music, so that when she saw the orchestra seats and boxes unsold, she would have sore throat and lobster in a private dining room and refuse to go on the stage. Okay, so this is the another high level of repute and aim, that high aim, like Joe, Delia has also set for herself that she would become so familiar, that is, she would become so expert a musician, so learned a musician, that in case if her show is being scheduled, if it's being arranged in an auditorium, in case if all the tickets were not sold out, if all the seats were not filled in the orchestra, then in orchestra seats and boxes, then she would refuse to give her performance. Okay, and who can afford to do this generally? That until unless I have the entire hall filled with audience, I'll not give my performance. Who can really offer to do it? Okay, who can really afford to do it? To be more precise, this can only be done, such things can only be done by people of really high repute and expertise. Okay, in particular field of deliverance, like also music. For example, if there is a musician who is an expert and who has a very high repute, then that person might refuse to play only for uh, an audience who have filled only half of the hall where the show is being launched, right? So here is Delia, who is dreaming of this ideal scenario where one day she would become a musician of this great repute, and until unless the orchestra room is completely full, she would refuse to give her performance. She is just hoping that one day this time will come, and she is going to enjoy such privileged position. Okay, but the best, the author says, but the best in my opinion was the home life in the little flat. So according to author, compared to all this high reputation, the high name and fame and renown that comes with expertise and which comes with one's talent and caliber, and exhibiting the same in public places. Compared to all this, the author says, even when compared to life of money, name, fame, the most restful and the best place in life is a little flat, okay, a little nest, a little home of one's own. And he is not only kind of maybe trying to relate it to Joe's and Delia's story and their family life. He might be generally addressing people who generally run after name, fame, money, and all that. So he means to say that it's better to have a kind of safe and happy nest over your head and stay warmly in it than hunt after and literally run after name, fame, and money. Okay, so he says home life in the little flat, and he describes the life of Joe and Delia, their happy life in the little flat as, and also the flat as the ardent, voluble chats. Okay, this how their life was in their little flat. They would have the ardent, sincere, okay, loyal, voluble chats. Voluble, that is the kind of garrulous talk, unending, simplistic talk, chit chat, okay. After the day's study, this what Joe and Delia would do. Like they, as if they were the soulmates, they would share the little know-hows of the entire day. They would have a chit chat for a long time, okay, after their study in painting and music. And they would have the cozy dinners and fresh light breakfasts, okay, the interchange of ambitions. They would even discuss their ambitions interwoven with the others, or else incons- or else inconsiderable, okay. So they always try to link each other's lives, knit each other's lives so closely that even their ambitions were supposed to be interwoven. Okay, they should be related to one another, or else they would resign or quit from such ambitions. Okay, and the mutual help and inspiration. They would help each other and talk of helping each other in fulfilling their lives and assisting one another in leading happy life with one another, okay, and inspire each other as well, and overlook my artlessness, okay. And the author calls himself as his artlessness. They would not care about the kind of the way, the method in which he is using to pen down their story. Okay, they would overlook it, and they would instead focus more on stuffed olives and cheese sandwiches at 11 p.m. So this the life of the happy life of the happiest couple, Joe and Delia, in their cozy little narrow nest-like flat. Okay, so this is a kind of idealistic life, uh, irrespective of the social class one belongs to, whether you are rich or poor. This is the most idealistic life, right? This is the idealistic life any human being would aspire for, which Joe and Delia have actually already secured in this short story. Okay, when we have almost come to the middle of the story, and so many other surprising changes take place as the story progresses. Let us look into those minute details and discuss them in the forthcoming session.